Ms. Marvel is the latest addition to the MCU, and based on the trailers for this series, I wasn't really sold on it as it looked very low budget and childish, like something from the Disney Channel. Fortunately, I was wrong, and the trailers really represented this show badly. This is actually a super fun and charming show. It has a unique tone and style blended with a great cast. Unfortunately, it has many of the same issues as the other Disney Plus Marvel shows, rushing the finale and failing to create a believable threat. So overall, Ms. Marvel is fun, it's fresh, but it's a superhero mess. Hello and welcome to Cinemaze, and there will be spoilers for Ms. Marvel. If you saw the trailers for this and thought it isn't for you, honestly I'd recommend giving this show a chance because it's pretty good. I didn't know how much of the stylistic choices in the trailers would actually be in the show, but it's not just for the trailers, and the artistic backgrounds and animation are actually present in the show, particularly in the first 2 episodes. This gives the show a unique flavour and look, really helping to bring the character's imagination to life. This is one of those situations where the tone blends perfectly with the actor, and this helps to bring everything to life really well. Kamala Khan is a fantastic character who is fun, energetic and youthful. Iman Vellani really brings this character to life so well, and she's so fun and charming to watch, and she really is the best part of this show and a brilliant addition to the MCU. You not only end up caring about Kamala so much, but also her friends and family. The first few episodes of this show are quite slow, but in a good way, and this gives you time to spend with her family and friends, and their dynamics work really well. This is the advantage of a TV show because it allows us to spend some downtime with these characters that you wouldn't necessarily get in a film. The first few episodes are essentially Spider-Man Homecoming, but just focusing on the family and high school elements, and I ended up liking it quite a bit. The show is also enriched with Kamala's culture, a blend of Pakistani, Islamic and American heritage, and it's done so well. It doesn't feel forced in the slightest. For people not from this culture, it's done in a way that is relatable and endearing and makes you want to learn more about it. And for those familiar with the culture, I'm sure it will be super relatable. They make some smart choices like centering episode 3 around a wedding. Whether you're Muslim or not, you'll be aware of how weddings work. This makes the show relatable to those from all cultures and celebrates the similarities between everyone, while allowing us to learn about the differences in a way which is interesting and charming. These first 3 episodes do a fantastic job of setting up the style, culture and relationships in this show, and I was so invested. Episodes 1 and 2 were a little light on the superhero elements, but they felt like they were forcing some action in here to try and add some drama. The action was always caused by accidents and felt very convenient. It was out of place, but it was still early days. Episode 3 then actually dealt with the action a lot better. It had surprisingly good action scenes, which didn't feel as contrived. Episode 3 was a little lighter on the stylistic elements of the show, losing its artistic nature and feeling more generic, but this did actually make sense for where Kamala was at emotionally. The first 3 episodes set up a culturally diverse, fun journey of self-discovery with a focus on family with superhero elements. And then we get to episode 4 and everything changes. We leave New Jersey and head to Pakistan. Although we learn more about the culture here, we lose the unique style and the show starts to become a lot more boring. We meet new members of Kamala's family, but they're far less interesting, and we just spent the last 3 episodes caring about different members of the family, that it makes these new ones feel irrelevant. Episodes 4 and 5 focus so much on Kamala's family past that Kamala doesn't get much room to grow here as a character. Events are happening around her and moving the plot forward, but Kamala doesn't grow with it, and Kamala was the most interesting part of the show, so that when she isn't really growing with the plot, it makes the plot less interesting. The villains also suddenly become far more evil and they feel super rushed and forced into this show. At the start they were mysterious and slightly sympathetic, but then they just become generic villains wanting to do anything to get what they want. They didn't work for me at all. Episode 5 spends a lot of the time in the past dealing with the partition of India and Pakistan. This was super interesting to learn as it's not something I knew much about, and so I loved that this was included, but it was really slow, not much happened, and again didn't involve Kamala. I felt like we could have learnt about the partition without spending half an episode there, and being set in the past meant we lost a lot of the style of the show. Then we get to episode 6 and we go back to America. We go back to the friends and family that we care about, and we get more of that style that was missing. The problem is we just spent 2 episodes away from this dealing with essentially a different plot. So now this finale episode has to finish off the plots from episode 1 to 3 about damage control, and the plots from episodes 4 to 5 now feels irrelevant. With the supervillain dying in episode 5, a new threat is set up for the finale which didn't feel earned. This just makes the finale feel rushed and gives itself too much to do. It's certainly an improvement from the episode set in Pakistan, but the show should have focused on the US side of it from the start. Again, it's frustrating because we see this issue happening to many of the Disney Plus shows. Really strong opening episodes, then the plot goes somewhere else and they rush a finale. Really, this show is split between wanting to be a small-scale coming-of-age superhero story set in the US versus a globe-trotting historical adventure set in Pakistan. It doesn't fully commit to either, but the story in the USA is far more interesting. They should have focused this story in New Jersey with her learning to be a superhero and how this affects her friends and family. The final thing about this show is some of the changes from the comics. Now, I don't know why they're changing her powers. Maybe they didn't want it to take away from Mr. Fantastic's abilities, maybe they wanted it to tie into Captain Marvel a bit more, or maybe they didn't want to deal with Inhumans. Either way, I think it works okay in the show. Her abilities don't always look the best, but they make the character interesting enough that it doesn't matter. It also follows the comic book storylines at times, taking moments from the comics which helps to honour her roots, despite changing certain aspects. Now, the other big change is the reveal at the end that she is a mutant. And it's pretty funny that the MCU were originally going to use the Inhumans as the replacement for the mutants because Marvel didn't have the rights to the mutants. Then Inhumans sucked and Marvel got the rights to the mutants, and so now it's the other way around and we're actually replacing Inhumans with mutants. I don't mind the change from Inhumans to mutants here because mutants are more interesting, but it feels weird to me that we spend a whole show setting up the idea that Ms. Marvel is a Jinn. We spend 2 whole episodes in Pakistan establishing the history of the Jinn and how Ms. Marvel got her powers, just to turn around at the end and say she's a mutant. Why bother with the Jinn plot in the first place if she was a mutant all along? It makes a lot of the boring episodes now feel like even more of a waste of time. Overall, I did enjoy Ms. Marvel. It's one of the better Disney Plus Marvel shows. It works when it's being imaginative and energetic. It brings Kamala Khan to life so well, and she is one of the best new additions to the MCU. They do the hard work of making us care about her life, her family, her friends, and her culture, but they end up failing at the easy stuff like driving the plot forward and making a believable threat. With such a focus on the family, the past, and the culture, they forget this is a superhero show, with pretty mediocre superhero elements for the first 5 episodes, and then a rushed superhero finale in episode 6. Really, this show needed more episodes or a more focused plot, which is my same criticism for many of the Disney Plus shows. This results in Ms. Marvel being really fun, surprisingly fresh, but a superhero mess. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about Ms. Marvel. I think people will enjoy this one overall, and for anyone skipping out on it, I'd recommend giving the first few episodes a watch and see how you feel. I can't wait to see more of this character in the Marvels, and she's set up to be the character I care most about in that film. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like the video, it helps me out so much, and subscribe for more videos like this every Friday. But for now, thanks for watching Cinemaze.